Hello, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Sharon, aka the Melanin Nostalgic Runner, and we are back for another episode of the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, and this is season 15, and this is episode 6, and it's called Star Signs and the Bad Times. And before we get into the episode, honestly, so far with this season, this was the most interesting episode for me. This episode kind of gave me some hope that we're going to get somewhere with some things because there is some conflict. The season as a whole still really ain't about nothing, but at least we got something. And I know that's not the bar to really set the bars on, but I guess I rate a lot of these shows now on a curve. And I think a lot of reviewers do. I know Kempire, shout out to Kempire, has mentioned that on his channel, that he rates everything to a curve based off of how bad New York, like how New York, the reboot went. And honestly, I'm doing the same thing because that reboot was horrible. It was so bad. And yes, before we also get into it, you can tell my hair is a little different now. I have it down today because I'm not going anywhere. This is not done. This is just how my hair was looking this morning after I took it out of a wrap. I trimmed it a little bit more because I think I missed some sections in the back. But now when I run my fingers through my hair, I'm like, okay, I think I got the trimming done. So I think I got rid of all my split ends finally. That's what happens when you do the protective styles. You get split ends, and yeah, so I'm working on getting my hair back to being healthy, like really, really healthy. I haven't had a relaxer in for like over a decade, so it's not the relaxer of it all. It's definitely some of the other things when it comes to maintaining natural hair. Still new to me, still trying to figure it out, and with age, hair changes and whatnot. I know that's not why you're here. I'm kind of going to sidebar, but yeah. So this review probably still won't be too long, but I was pleasantly surprised by this episode. Maybe also too, my mood's a little different today because for those who are not aware and those who are not located in the United States, we're in the middle of a cold front, and I'm in Chicago, and it is really cold here. I started off my morning working because I have my normal regular job, and I worked in my bed because I'm warm my bedroom's the warmest room in the house, and I was already in there. I was nice and cozy and warm, so I took my laptop because normally I do like the dual monitors of it all. I took my laptop, brought that into my room, and I was like, and now my room's my office this morning. And I did get a lot done. I got a lot done, and it was fine. And then once I, kind of couldn't really do certain things, like on the laptop, I needed the dual monitors. I did finally brave it out and did all the things I need to do in the dual monitors. And then on Fridays, we do have the option of how we allocate our time after noon. And so this is where I'm recording. I'm recording after that time because I can, if we want to take the time off, we can take the time off. It's just one of those things that our department does. It's optional, and it's like a work-life balance thing that our boss is very keen on, which is why I love my job. So yeah. So I'm not doing anything wrong right now by recording. I just wanted to make that clear. But yeah, so it's really cold. So that's why I got my hoodie on. I'm relaxed. That's what you're getting right now. So, but yeah, let's get into the episode because I don't want to waste y'all time too much longer because you already know I get a little long-winded. Let's go into the episode. So the girls are back. They're back in Beverly Hills, and we get our normal classic Housewives montage. And by the way, for those who are new to the channel, if you see movement here, which I know you're seeing right now, that's my partner in crime, Whisper. Zero, he likes to stay in the cut. You'll never see him. But Whisper, she loves the camera. So if you're seeing some movement, that's what's going on. I always feel like I have to give that intro because just like I'm introducing myself, I need to introduce her because she's just much as part of the video as I am. Okay. Anyway, Kyle and her first world problems. We see, so they cut to her twice in this montage. First time, she can't find her keys, wah, wah, wah. But then we see, and this is what we love about Beverly Hills. Beverly Hills is different because this is where the money resides, And so we see this, and like, there's just a fleet of black cars. I'm like, ooh, to have that kind of money. I would not want all those cars, but that's just me because I'm not really a car girl. Which is why I live where I live, because I don't want to have to use my car really. Of course, this time of the year I do. Yeah. But normally, no. And then the second time they cut to her, she is trying to like park out, get out of the parking spot. And then Sudden is opening packages, and she makes like this side comment, see, and she's with her dog. She's like, see, I don't need an assistant for this. I'm kind of like, okay. And then Erica is doing household things around the house, and she's like doing the flower arrangement, and then she's trying to clean, and it's just funny to see Erica this way. And so that's kind of what we get for a Housewives montage. And also, side note, watching this episode, I did have a lot of change of opinions when it comes to some of the women. Sudden really still can seriously go. And we'll get into a little bit more later because I'm just kind of, I don't know. And I have some theories of what's going on because the dynamic of this group is changing, which is probably why I found this episode interesting, because we're starting to see the changes in the dynamics of, which is what has been needed. They've been needing some type of a shakeup, and we're kind of getting in this episode. What else? Yeah, so that's kind of the other thing we'll get into as I go into the thing. But the first official scene, though, we have with Rachel Zoe, and she is going shopping. And it seems like it was like a vintage designer store in Beverly Hills, and she's trying all the things, and she's just like, look, my goal is to leave the store not being broke because I'm going to spend the money. And I'm like, I know that's right. And what do we like when we watch some of these shows, especially Beverly Hills? Price tags. We got plenty of that because she was trying on a whole bunch of things and all that good stuff. And then Bose did come in enjoying her. And I do actually like seeing Bose and Rachel. I kind of like their dynamic very much so. Because I think of everyone, so Bose and Dorit to me seems kind of forced. But with Bose and Rachel, that seems a little bit more organic and more of a natural friendship occurring there. And Rachel's just a cool chick. I really like Rachel Zoe. I really like her on this show. But anyway, Bose does make an appearance, and she basically says, I'm probably not going to be trying on a lot of things because I'm really bloated right now. And then she kind of gets into what's going on with her IVF journey. And so we find out that she and Keely will be going to Vegas on the same day that Rachel's going to be having a dinner party at her house to retrieve some eggs, potentially. And they'll find out how many eggs that she has for the egg retrieval process. And in Bo's confessional, she does mention that she does have some eggs, but she doesn't really know how many because they're talking about egg houses and all this stuff. And part of my ignorance, I don't really know about all that too much. Because, side note, I don't know if this might be a personal thing, but I don't care. You know, I overshare a lot. But a lot of things that I really feel like is oversharing, I really don't share. So I'm like a fake open person, I guess, if you want to call that. But I was going to mention, I actually do like watching Bo's things when it comes to this stuff because I actually was considering freezing my eggs. And I think the egg retrieval thing that is applicable whether you are doing the IVF or if you're just, they're retrieving the eggs. I think it's the same. But in the comments, for those who actually really know, let me know if it's slightly different. But I kind of wish this episode, that was the only thing I didn't like. I wish it kind of went a little bit more into that detail because I'm just kind of curious. And also to even hate or love Bose, when it comes to women's health, especially African descent women's health, we don't get a lot of that on TV. I know we're getting it a little bit more in recent years, but as a whole, there's still a lot of things that are question marks on. So whenever that conversation is a thing, because it is something that does and could potentially impact me, I perk up. I do want to know more. So that's kind of the only regret that I had this episode. They kind of went into it, but not really. A little bit later on the episode, but I just kind of wanted to get that out there. Actually, I'll just say what happened. So this is not in order, but later on the episode, we do see Bose at Vegas, and then they actually say what the official name of the procedure is as happening. I do not remember the name of it, but and she does eventually give the ladies the good news through Rachel Zoe at the dinner party. She gave Rachel Zoe the permission, which also tells me that I think her and Rachel Zoe, that seems like that could be a real friendship later on. Whether you like her, whether you hate or love Bose, it is good to see real friendships on these shows because a lot of times they're not. So those dynamics is what makes the show really watchable, But anyway, that's it on Bose. So I'm going to skip over any additional scene with Bose, which happens a little bit later on, like twice, because I just went over it just now. But that's pretty much what happens here. And we also find out about the dinner party that Rachel's going to have. And then also, too, one more thing. Bose and Rachel were talking about a lot about Amanda and how, well, Rachel brought it up first about how a lot of ladies are more go with the flow. Amanda doesn't seem like she's that type of person. And then the other thing that they kind of questioned her on is they're questioning her authenticity. And I agree. I agree with that. That's going to come to question later on this episode. But yeah, I definitely agree with that. I hate that I'm agreeing with Bose when it comes to a lot of things when it comes to Amanda. But the more and more we're seeing of Amanda, the more I'm like, Bose might have had a very quick, strong opinion of it, but she probably just saw it from a mile away. And I'm kind of getting the same vibes. I'm sorry, but I'm getting the same vibes. Anyway, moving on. Well, speaking of Amanda, the next scene, we actually have Amanda with her family, and we find out that they're in Newport Beach, and I guess her and her family have been going there for years. They like it so much that they are basically decided they were going to do a rental for the whole entire summer, and she basically brags about how her kids kind of remind her of kids in the 80s and 90s, where because I'm an 80s kid, I'm an 80s baby, we would play outside. We didn't just stay in the house. I mean, yes, there's a time and place where I would, but it was diverse. It was diversified. Our portfolio, when it came to going outside versus being inside, was very diverse back then. Today, we don't really get that. She was basically saying, yeah, they're outside, they're not on the technology, and this is what I love, and this is how I raise my kids. And then from there, she her kids, which really the only kids that are hers, they're not her stepchildren, are younger. Like, she has younger children. And then the other two children are her fiancés, Eddie's, and they're older. So they leave the room, and she basically recaps with Eddie how the Sedona trip went. She actually mentioned how she actually does like Erica. And then the son thing comes up. And Amanda, son has every right to be not okay with you. Now, did son overreact on her approach? No. I mean, well, yes, son overreacts. Son is an overreactor. Take that back. Son did overreact, but it would be lost, and it would be really dumb of her not to be like, I see you. Because let's be for real. You did not bring that up out of concern. You brought that up to be messy, and you're trying to mask it in a way that you said that out of concern. And then, I'll be honest with you, I'm just going to get right to it. This episode, Amanda, I wanted to be on Amanda's side because a lot of these women I cannot stand. But I'm not on Amanda's side when it comes to a lot of this. Now, towards the end, I'm conflicted. But when it comes to most things, Amanda's really annoying, really condescending, and I cannot stand condescending people. Actually, I had a little bit of a mini blip this week at work from someone who kind of had that energy, and I don't think they want to talk to me anymore, but that's okay. Because I have to make it clear I'm not the one or two to talk to me in that kind of way. I just cannot stand condescending behavior. But anyway, she kind of gives that air off a little bit, well, a lot of it. And so, and also too, no one knows Amanda. So it's kind of like she's doing a lot for us not knowing her. Whereas Rachel, I think Rachel, honestly, for the most part, she's playing it cool. But I don't think she's acting, though. I think that's just Rachel's personality. She's, kind of in the cut. Like, basically, Rachel didn't seem like she was new. Rachel seemed like she was already part of this group. And to a certain degree, she kind of already was, because she knew a lot of the women already. And she's been on Bravo before. So, like, none of this, she's, like, kind of true to this. She's not new to this. Versus Amanda is very much giving off new money, braggadocious. She kind of, who she reminds me of, honestly, who's another newbie? She reminds me of Stephanie from Real Housewives of Miami. She's very insufferable, even though I want to like her. And I do kind of like that she did start the conversation with Sutton, because, I don't see for Sutton anymore. But I just need, if she's going to do it, she needs to stand on big business and do that. And not do the throw the rock, hide the hand thing. That's another thing I don't like. But anyway, so she's basically being a victim about it, saying that, like, Sutton, was being very rough with her, this, that, and this, and that is a pattern that I'm starting to see as a thing with her. She very much is very fragile when it comes to being confronted about. And she thinks a lot of things that are confrontations are not she calls things that are confrontational not confrontation. Like, so, I'm trying to explain it. She overreacts when it comes to, like, people confronting her. And and another thing is, she was using the word aggressive later on this episode. And I don't think that person was being aggressive. I think Amanda needs to have some thicker skin. That's kind of what we're getting with this. And a little bit of the preview in the next episode, it kind of comes up again. Kyle kind of calls it out, and I don't agree. Kyle thinks that Amanda is a lot like Crystal. No. I think Crystal is Crystal. Did she have her moments where she was doing the most when it comes to, like, how sensitive she was at things? A little bit. But I feel like with Amanda is always a thing, so far, from what I'm seeing. I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself, but we'll talk more about it. So, okay. What else here? Oh, then we also find out from Amanda about her son who passed away. She shared it with a group, I guess, at Sun's Gathering. I think it was Sun's Gathering or Jennifer Teely's Gathering. It was Jennifer Teely's Gathering. She shared it then. That she lost a son. And we find out more about that. Kanan, who's her other son, which, side note, I'm not going to do it. Kanan and Zion. Very biblical names. Sorry. I'm not trying to laugh. It was a natural reaction, but they are very biblical names. And I have questions. I just have questions. I'm not trying to be insensitive. I just have questions. But anyway, let me reel it back and be a little bit more serious. We do find out, though, that they were originally twins, and Zion was the one who didn't make it, but they both were born prematurely. There was a lot that happened with that. And Rachel Zoe's party happens to be on the same day of Zion's death anniversary. Now, do the rest of the women know that? No. But they will. And we'll get into that when that happens. Anyway, moving on. So then so after we saw this, because I watched a Peacock version, I saw previews of what the next scene was going to be, before they showed it, and it was like Sutton and Kyle. And I kind of have a theory. I feel like there's a lot of new alliances happening with this group. Like the Fox Force 5, that's dead. That's dead. We saw that die last season. So I see that Dorit, Rachel, and Bose, that's a group with Sutton kind of floating in there, like tentatively. And then Kyle and Erica and Amanda. I think that's what's happening there. But I don't know about Amanda. I don't know if she's going to be past this season of the show. I don't know. And really, I don't know about Sutton still either. That's why I said Sutton is like, she still isn't really part of the group. I think Sutton thinks she is, and they're making it seem like as we're watching the show that she is. But I think what it is, my enemy is my friend. I think these women cannot stand Amanda so much that they will side with Sutton over her. That's what we're seeing. Minus Kyle. Kyle still doesn't really see it for Sutton. And so I'm kind of irritated looking back last week how Jennifer Tilly vented to Kyle about how she felt disrespected by Sutton, because it's like Kyle fed off of that. She couldn't wait to tell Sutton about that. Like she is almost like she has some glee from that, which tells me what we've all been saying this whole entire time. Sutton, Kyle is not your friend and never will be your friend. She does not like you. And she's the worst kind of friend. She's fake. I would trust Erica before I would trust a Kyle. And I still wouldn't even trust Erica. I would trust Dorit before I would trust a Kyle. And I still wouldn't trust Dorit. That's the kind of energy and vibe I'm getting from this right now. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I kind of wanted to call out, there definitely are some new alliances and whatnot that are popping up, but Dorit's okay. I feel like last season, Dorit felt like she was in the out. She's not in the outs anymore. I think she is good because she has Rachel Zoe, and Rachel Zoe, Bose, and her seem like they are like a group. Like they seem solid. Kyle is her show, so she'll always be okay. Erica and Kyle are, they're the closest, clearly, so they're good. But the two odd out is Amanda and Sutton. Sutton's been the odd one out. And Jennifer Tilly, Sutton needs Jennifer Tilly more than Jennifer Tilly needs Sutton. And I wish with both last episode and this episode, Jennifer Tilly would know that and really stand on business when it comes to that. And I think that is what Garcelle's realization came about last season towards the end. Like, oh, she needs me more than I need her. And if anything, she's holding me back. And really, instead of Garcelle turning on Sutton, which I kind of wish she just would have and stayed on the show, she decided to walk away instead. Because looking back, we already know that none of these women really ever liked Sutton. They wanted to get to know Garcelle, but Garcelle stayed guarded and stayed friends with Sutton because Sutton was getting picked on. And now we're seeing this other side where Sutton feels like now she's part of the group. She feels emboldened, and now she's talking to her real friends all sideways. And that is going to come up, and we're going to get into that a little bit more about how Sutton really isn't a friend of no one's as much as she thinks she is. We'll get into that. So then next we see that Dorit goes to lunch with her new management team, I think. And we find out that we see that she's featured in a magazine and they're discussing it. And then they're also discussing, so then the producers in the confessional, because we find out the reason why she's with this new management team is because her PK was also her manager, so she lost her manager. What she's losing her manager, just like she's losing her husband. And then one of the producers, Shaylee, asked which one he was better at, managing or husband. And she just gave this look and kept to herself. I was like, ooh, Dorit. Dorit and PK do not like each other. That seems crystal clear. It seems like that's done. You know how like with Mauricio and Kyle, they could probably get back together at any moment. Nah, not with PK and Dorit. That is a done deal. But then we also find out that she is signing a book deal, and she wants people to really get to know the real Dorit. Now, what do y'all think about that? Are you interested in learning about the real Dorit? I am. I'm not. You know what the thing is about Dorit is, as much as I want to not like her, especially how she treated Garcelle all those years on the show, I think I know she benefits from pre-girl privilege, because honestly, I think my bias in my head makes me still go back to her because she's attractive. I'm just going to say it. And I feel like that's like that with a lot of Bravo viewers, but most people are not going to say that. I'm saying it because as much as I want to not like her, there's parts of Dorit that I actually do really like. And I like it when she's like her feisty. We're getting a glimpse of the old Dorit that we got from the first season that she joined the show. We got that back last season, and we're getting more of it now. And I just kind of wish, honestly, probably would have done her some good if she would have just stayed that way the whole entire time. Because I think Dorit would have came off a lot more likable. And for some people, it's a little too late. For me, because I'm still trying to find ways to enjoy this show, honestly, I'm turning a corner on it. And I'm kind of like, okay, you're right when you're right and you're wrong when you're wrong. Now, later on, she was wrong. But was she? We'll talk about that later. Anyway, moving on. So then next, we have that scene that I was talking about with Kyle and Sutton. They meet up at the infrared sauna place. And this is Sun's idea, because apparently she did not get enough of the overheatage in the desert. And she wants more of it. And Kyle the whole entire time is being a crotchety lady and just complaining the whole entire time about how hot it is, as if she didn't know she was going to a sauna. But anyway, they finally do get comfortable though, and they talk about Kyle carries a bone and tells Sutton about what Jennifer Tilly said about her when after Sutton snapped at her at dinner in Sedona. And the thing, like I mentioned before, Kyle could not wait to tell Sutton about this. And I don't think it was out of being concerned. It was out of messiness and out of just getting glee that, Sutton has another friend that's turning on her. It seemed like that was her energy and is her energy, because Kyle does not like Sutton. Okay? And honestly, if it was previous seasons where I feel bad about this, yes. Do I feel bad about it now? No. At this point, I'm just like, get her, Kyle. Like, I don't even like Kyle, but I really don't like Sutton anymore. So I'm just kind of like, you know what? What's good for the goose is good for the gander. Just do that. Sutton is taken aback. She's playing the victim. And that's the other reason why I don't feel bad for Sutton, because it's just like, Sutton's self-awareness, she doesn't have any. And I don't get how at her big age, she still doesn't have any form of self-awareness. And yeah. Anyway, moving on. Okay, so then next, oh, I forgot. So when we were talking about the Bose thing earlier and her doing the egg retrieving thing, what stuck out to me that I forgot to mention was that her reasoning to why she's doing this. And She's doing this for Keely. Not for herself, for a man. Anyone who's been on my channel long enough, you already know how I feel about that. And I get, you know, you can love who you love and whatnot, but the deal breaker is a deal breaker. Deal breaker is a deal breaker. She is so hoping that this will work out, or else she thinks things will be in jeopardy when it comes to a relationship with Keely. And my whole thing is, I would never put myself at health risk for anyone, let alone a man. I don't care how much I love someone. You know what? People change their minds every single day about who they love. Maybe this explains why I'm single, but you know what? I'd rather be single and live a long, healthy life than be in love and put my health and body in jeopardy for anyone else other than myself. And maybe that's something that's, you know, and also maybe, I think also too with Bose, and I really wish she would say it too, because it can't be for just that. It has to be the fact that she really wants to have another child, is not just for this man. If that's what it was, I would be on board. But her explanation that it's given is just for this man only, I'm giving her such a side eye. And I'm like, wow, you are like love dumb, aren't you? I guess, and I get it, you know. I've been love dumb many a times. But I would like to think I got most of my love dumbness out of the way in my 20s. There's just a lot of things I will not do at this age. There's just a lot of things. If it's a non-negotiable, I'm not moving it for anybody. I'd rather be single and have my peace than anything else. But, you know, maybe the other thing too is with a lot of these women, and now I'm not even talking about just this show. I would say a lot of the housewives as a whole, to me, this is my opinion, they're very male-centered. So they're very much about, you know, they're very much into like the patriarchy. And anyone who knows me, I'm very much anti that. I would never call myself a feminist. People like to put me in that box. I just won't put myself in that box just because of the toxicity that comes behind some forms of feminism. I just am someone who's just independent. I'm an independent person, and that's just where I'm at with it. And I just don't like to put myself in a box of any kind, but that might be the Aries in me. Who knows? I'm a leader. I don't follow nobody. How about that? Anyway, moving on. Okay, so it's the day of the dinner. Rachel is getting ready, and we find out that the power is out at her place, but not just her place, the whole entire block. So that also includes Kathy Hilton's place. So then Kathy calls Sutton, FaceTimes her, and she's just like, yeah, I'm trying to get ready, but the power's out. So what I've been doing is I've been using this hand fan to like blow dry my hair. And Sutton's like, Kathy, just come over here and use my power. I have power. And so Kathy, we find out that's what she ends up doing. She ends up going to Sutton's again, the rest of her glam and whatnot done over there. Just because she was not going to dry her hair with a hand fan. I was like, Kathy, be so for real. And this is the thing. Kathy, I know she has a darkness to her, but she's still funny and kooky all at the same time. So yeah. And then Jennifer Tilly's getting married. Not married. Wow, getting ready. And she looks amazing. And yes, I think I mentioned this in the last review. I will always call Jennifer Tilly, just like I call Rachel Zoe. I don't know. Some people, like, I feel like that's like a thing for me. If you're that girl, you get the full name. Okay? And so Jennifer Tilly will be and forever will be that girl. And I also wrote in my notes somewhere here, because Sutton was getting on my nerves, what she thought she was going to do here. I was like, protect Jennifer Tilly at all costs. Okay? You are not above the program, Sutton. You need her more than she needs you. Let's be so clear. I didn't know a Sun Strack, Sun Brown before this show. I always knew who Jennifer Tilly was, though. How about that? Okay? Anyway, sorry. I digress. I'm getting ahead of myself. And then we also see that Kyle and Amanda, they're on their way. And we find out that there's going to be a psychic at the party. It wasn't even okay. Kyle was a psychic, but really is a tarot reader. I like to put them separate because I don't think they're the same thing. But whatever. It's a tarot reader that's going to be at the party. Amanda shares with Kyle about the Zion thing. So Kyle, this is why I can't get with Kyle. Kyle be lying. Kyle likes to make it seem like she didn't know later on this episode about this situation with Amanda. And Kyle probably could have told the ladies about this ahead of time, but at the same time, I kind of get why she wouldn't, because that's really not her story to tell. But it's just one of those things where, like, I don't know. I think if what I would have done after I would have found that out, I would have probably talked to all the women, let them know, hey, Amanda is not really doing okay today. Anything you're probably gonna say to her, take it easy. I probably would have did that without disclosing what happened here. But Kyle didn't say anything, act like she didn't know. She's the only one that knew about that this date was the day. But I will say this, Amanda told her on the way to the party, which is another thing too, was you expect these women to read your mind and know about that later on this episode? I got my good eye on you. Anyway, so then Sun and Erica on the way, and Sun's mentioning how she is going to talk to, she's planning on talking to Jennifer Tilly about what was said. And Erica's like, you're really going to do that? At this party? And she's like, yeah. And then Erica, the confessional, she's like, I feel like what Jennifer Tilly said is kind of accurate, though. Now, does Sun have a right to be upset about it? Yeah. But doesn't mean it's not true. And I'm like, yeah. Pretty much what Erica was the voice of reason here. But it turned out I didn't need to be defensive. Because at first, as Sun was talking to Erica in the call, she made it seem like she was going to chin check her. And I was like, oh no, we ain't having that. Okay, we're not going to have you do what you've been doing. And so, anyway, yeah. So then back to the party, we see Angie, who's a tarot card reader. She arrives. And then we get introduced to Natalie. She is the other friend of on this show. Well, there's 3 friend ofs this season, so she's the 3rd friend of. And we find out she is an ex-wife or will be ex-wife of Simon Fuller. And I need to Google who that is because I don't know who that is. But she's Rachel's friend. So Rachel is the one who's introducing her to the group. She is there. And she is wearing this sexy dress, kind of like a lingerie dress. Kind of giving Britney Spears VMA look, where she had kind of the bra and panties, but this was just a single bodysuit, and then a lace bust down kind of situation. It's cute, but it's not how everyone else is dressing aesthetically. Erica likes it, so she's like, okay, cute. But let me find out who Simon Fuller is. I'm about to Google who that is right now. I don't know who that is. Oh, he's a creator of American Idol? Oh. Okay. Oh, so he's a music producer guy, a British music producer guy. Okay. He's a big deal. Oh, I remember that pop group S Club 7. He helped create that. And he created Pop Idol, which is kind of the thing, a precursor to American Idol. Um, okay. Okay. Yeah, okay. Oh, and he managed the Spice Girls. Okay. I knew he looked familiar because I think I saw him in the movie Spice World. Okay, so for those who are watching this who are younger than the millennial, you are definitely not going to know who this is because I had to go in the memory banks to remember who this was because I remember all these events and that he was part of them, but he's kind of behind the scenes guy, so you wouldn't have known it up front. But like all the names, everything that they're mentioning, so you wouldn't know about it unless like you had. Okay, so I'm about to tell my age a little bit. There actually used to be like this TV channel called The Box. And I missed The Box because it was so cool. You actually could call in and like request any music video you want. This is back when music videos were music videoing, okay? And like you had TRL and then you had The Box and then you also had VH1 and BET and all that, right? Before they had the multiple channels of like the same network. And The Box was cool because a lot of times you would see other artists that were like British artists, particularly British pop artists that you could actually like, you know, call in about. So that's kind of where I remember S Club 7 because I remember seeing them on The Box. I wouldn't be able to, now if I saw any of their faces in the lineup, I wouldn't know who they were, but the name sounds familiar. And then also when I read further down that he's a huge part of like Victoria Beckham's like empire, I'm like, oh, Spice Girls. Okay. Manager. Got it. Sorry. Sorry to go on a major sidetrack, but hey, we learned who this was together. Anyway, this is his ex-wife, and she's on the show. I will be very interested to hopefully get more information on this guy because, yeah. Also, he's part of. Wait a minute. He managed ABBA too. So he's ABBA, Madonna. Yeah, big deal apparently. Anyway, hey, at least this sidebar this time was related to the show, okay? Because I bet y'all didn't know who he was either. Some of y'all didn't know who he was. Y'all heard the name, but you didn't know who he was. And that was me. I heard the name, but I was like, who is he? And then when I just Googled, I was like, oh, this all tracks. Okay, but anyway, well, it's such a sidebar. The ladies are arriving one by one at the party. Rachel is amazed by Jennifer Tilly, as you should be. And they just are just kind of in eye of each other, like, you cute. Like they both are doing that. I'm just like, yes. And then Dorit shows up and then she basically celebrates that she has a book deal. But then she mentions she's going to be using a ghostwriter. And are any of us surprised by that? No. Otherwise, that book would be forever long because Dorit's long-winded, which is why I would never write a book because I know I'm long-winded, okay? Anyway. And then Amanda just decides she's going to one-up her. And she's like, yeah, I wrote the book myself when I did my book. And everyone was just like, and see, this is why I'm side-eyeing Amanda because if things are bothering you the way you're saying is bothering you, which honestly, it seems like it was later on, but like, you can't lead with that kind of, what gets me with Amanda is she leads with this kind of attitude and expects the women to take it easy on her. She's unlikable. I'm sorry. Like she leads with that kind of attitude. So Dorit was kind of taken aback, like, what? Why would you do that? Like, you know, we were celebrating a mini win that I have. You know I'm going through a rough divorce right now. Like, And everyone else was like, go Dorit, yay! And then, so then, Erica in her confessional shades them both, though. She's just like, you know, she's like, I don't know why Amanda felt the need to do what she did. Like, it's not like Dorit's book's never going to come out. I'm like, I was like, Erica. And then Dorit shades Amanda in her confessional. She's just like, you know, for you writing your own book, I would think you would know how to read a room. I was like, oh my God. But Dorit, that confessional shade aged poorly because the way you did not read the room later on in that episode, yeah. Anyway. And then Rachel in her confessional was like, are you okay? To Amanda. And it's because also too, the other women are just taking it back at her like gravitas of being so like braggadocious about all this stuff. Cause like Erica's like, I have a best-selling book and I write it. I would never write it. And then like, you know, and then Rachel's like, I'm a 2-time bestseller. It's just like one of those things, like we all have accolades. And so like, you know, Rachel elaborated on the, are you okay? She's like, why do you need to one up why do you need to bring someone else down to like, why do you need to one up and bring someone else down? Like, why would you do that? And that's that, you know? Anyway, they all thought that was rude. And then Sutton, to get the party started more, she was like, well, you know, Amanda has been talking about you and how you're handling this divorce right now, right? And Dorit's like, wait, what? Why is she saying any of this to my face? And so we find out, so Sutton tells Dorit about how, you know, Amanda mentioned in the form of concern that it may not be a good look that she's talking about PK this much, and it might mess up, like, you know, her divorce proceedings and make it a little bit more rough. And so then Dorit's like, okay, that's really messed up. I wasn't expecting that. I haven't done anything to this girl, which is correct. Dorit has been nothing but nice to her. So, and Dorit's taken aback. We already know how Dorit is. She gets really defensive about this kind of stuff. So we already see where this is going to go. Kathy finally does arrive. And then we see the tarot card reader with Jennifer Tilly. And we kind of mention, I guess one of the cards kind of looks like Sutton. Side note, this time with the tarot card reader, I don't think she was a real reader. You know how sometimes on these shows, you could tell, sometimes the people that they have on here who do these things are actually kind of gifted and actually really are doing something. I'm not getting that vibe from this situation. Now, the Salt Lake City reader who they had on the show, it seemed like he really is that person. So I would actually probably go to that person. This person, I'm like, okay, you're just here for the show. That's kind of the vibe I was getting, because all the tarot cards, we never got any substance when it came to any of these tarot card readings. So, and I guess that's not what the purpose of it was, but I get whatever. And then from here, this kind of gets Jen and Sutton to talk. And Sutton apologizes for snapping at Jennifer Tilly, as she should. And Jennifer, you know, she apologizes for reacting the way she did. She did mention, like, she said parts of it. She didn't say parts of it, of what Kyle said, but she did say the Garcelle thing. She did own up to that. And she was like, I wasn't really saying it as a dig. I was more or less saying I understand how Garcelle feels now. And I hate that Jennifer Tilly's backpedaling a little bit, because I don't think she should have to do that. But I understand why she's doing it, because she really does. I hope Sutton watches this back and realizes is giving Jennifer Tilly really does value the friendship. So she's backpedaling because she values the friendship. It's not her backpedaling being a coward. It's more or less, I really do value the friendship. But I do like also in the confessional, she was like, Jennifer Tilly was like, After that fallout between Garcelle and Sutton, it made me reevaluate my friendship with Sutton. And I can understand why and how Garcelle felt, especially being snapped at for no reason. Because I look at it, if the shoe was on the other foot, I would never snap at Sutton like that. And really as simple as that. So I really need Sutton to take that L and stop playing victim. You need to I feel like Sutton really needs to self-reflect and stop. She really needs to look in the mirror and understand that she needs to take a breath. And Sutton did own up to it. She actually apologized to her confessional. She's like, yeah, I really shouldn't have snapped at her like that. And really, as a whole, Sutton needs to do better across the board and stop doing that. Because you're not going to have any friends acting like that. And especially with Jennifer Tilly, because it seems like with Jennifer Tilly, everything with her comes from a good place. She seems like a very sweet person. So I even was kind of grossed out when she snapped at Jennifer Tilly, because I was like, and side note, I was even thinking back in my head, you would never do that to Garcelle. Because Garcelle wouldn't have that. It's given Sutton knows who to do that with. But, yeah. But they do make up. It's just really awkward though, watching them on the after show and stuff like that, because there's still definitely a fracture there. Hopefully they will actually off camera have a serious discussion when it comes to their friendship, because it's definitely not. It's not as great as it was. This show is messing up the friendship, and it's more because of Sutton than Jennifer Tilly. I think Jennifer Tilly is protecting the friendship over the show, whereas Sutton's protecting the show over the friendship. Anyway, moving on. So Dorit has a reading, and her reading is she's going to have a hard ending. Which again, that's why I'm like, oh, this is vague. And then again, the Bose update happens. We already talked about that. And then Amanda volunteers to do the tarot card next because she's hoping that this person's a medium also. And then she also shares and kind of breaks down about the design of it all. And you could tell it really was bothering Amanda. I just don't like, and this is my only major problem. Towards the end, later on, it seems like she was weaponizing it. And I guess that's why I'm torn, because I know she feels the way she feels, but feeling the way you feel, you gotta be careful not weaponizing it. We'll get into it a little bit later. So she talks, and not that much later from now, because I mean, this is the last kind of bit here of the show. So, yeah, so she basically shares in a confessional that, her fiance, Eddie, has kind of this cosmic relationship with Zion and can feel, or a spiritual connection where he can feel when he's around, and she doesn't have it. And that actually, that hurt my heart to hear that in a confessional, because she was the one who carried him and lost him. You know what I mean? So she had more of the bond, but it seems like Eddie had just as much of a bond, and he can see it a little bit more. And so she's hoping and praying in the future she can feel him, because she still just doesn't. And it, it's kind of sad. And then from there, Kyle tries to bring up again in front of the whole entire group about Sutton and Jennifer Tilly. And I love how Jennifer Tilly tried to shut it down immediately. She's like, okay, I think you're making a mountain out of a molehill. We talked it out. We're good. And Sutton said the same thing. I love how both of them were one sound, one band of like, no. We're not going to rehash it. We're good. But Sutton was stuttering a little bit because Sutton really wants to be accepted by the group. So she wasn't really as strong about saying it. Jennifer Tilly's like, no, we already talked it out. We're good. And I love how Dorit, because I think Dorit is trying. I can see this season Dorit is actually genuinely trying to be cool with Sutton. She was like, yeah, okay, they're good over here. So she shut it down. And this is the second time, if you catch it, last week's Dorit Dorit shut something down in reference to things going on with, things going on with Sutton. This is the second time Dorit has done that. So Dorit has indirectly had Sutton's back twice in 2 episodes. Only for her to kind of mess up this episode, but hopefully, I mean, it didn't seem like nothing. It's to do about nothing, but I kind of was like, oh, I wish she would have said something different. But anyway, so Sutton then mentions that Amanda, so I heard you had a lot to say about how I'm handling my divorce with my ex-baby daddy. And I was like, ooh. And this is why I like Dorit, though. There's moments, see, when Dorit get her confrontational bag, I don't know what it is about her. Now, she can't do that with everyone, clearly. But when she gets into her bag, I'm kind of like, okay, Dorit. And she was like, I heard you were talking about this. And then, Dorit, I hope you caught this. And I mentioned this. I hope she caught this. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, Kyle spikes up. She's like, wait, who'd you hear that from? Getting real defensive. And Dorit states and tells her, well, I heard it from Sutton. And I was like, Dorit, you could have just said it doesn't matter who I heard it from. I really wish you would have said that. It doesn't matter who I heard it from. All I know is that it was said. So can we talk about that? That is, to me, how I think Dorit should have came about it. And I don't think Dorit was being that aggressive or confrontational. But what did Amanda do? She treated it as if she was a Karen about it. Like, oh my gosh, you're so confrontational. And immediately she was like, I don't really have the bandwidth for this. And then she just out of nowhere vomits what's going on with her and the Zion situation. And everyone is just in shock. And it's like basically WTF. Everyone was like, what? Everyone knew about the summit. No one knew that this was the day. And so she's like, yeah, so I really can't talk about this right now. I don't want to talk about this. And this is where Dorit messed up and kind of lost me. She apologizes, but then continues to try to talk about it. I was like, Dorit, this is when you just have to say, I'm sorry, and you just drop it. And that is what Amanda was expecting from her, but she didn't get that. She got a little bit of, she basically, and Dorit still wasn't being overly insensitive, but she still was being insensitive enough where she should have just left it alone. So that's why I say I'm torn. Because Dorit and her approach was like, I'm so sorry, I didn't know. I really didn't know. And maybe we could just talk about this another time. But then after she said that, that's when Amanda engaged with her again about it. And that's where and I feel like Amanda knew what she was doing to a certain degree. So this is where I'm like, okay, Amanda is using this to trap Dorit and trying to make Dorit look bad. But at the same time, I'm like, Dorit took the bait. All that Dorit should have said is like, I'm so sorry, and just left it alone. And then if Amanda would have said more, disengage. That's really how it should have went, and she could have approached her another day about it. And maybe they could have did a one-on-one. And not in front of the whole group. But we know Dorit was looking for a moment, so she wants to do it in front of the whole group. See what I mean? How I'm torn? Because neither of them are really right, and and they're both wrong. I'm not even gonna say neither of them are wrong. No, they're both wrong. Both of them are wrong in what they're doing. And I really do believe that. Sorry, I'm turning on. I have an air filter in here because the cat's litter box is not far away from here. So it smells nice and fresh, so you never know the litter box is here. But anyway, what I was going to say. So yeah, no. Both of them are wrong because of what they were trying to do there. I do think that Amanda really was feeling the way that day. But what wasn't fair to the women is none of them knew that until you waited until a confrontation popped off to then just divulge that information. Which to me, this comes off very calculated and very disingenuous and very much you weaponizing a situation. Whereas it still could be applicable that you do feel away. And we saw that you do, but because you did the way you did it, it kind of null and voids it. And for Dorit, she just mentioned earlier on in this scene about how Amanda needs to learn how to read a room. Right then and there, once she said what she said, that was your cue to read the room and just stop the conversation. And so it ends where Amanda decides she's going to leave. And then Dorit tries to apologize to her. But then Amanda does this thing again where she tiptoes into the conversation and then tiptoes out, reeling Dorit back in to bring it up again because Amanda keeps indirectly re-bringing it back up as if she wants to talk about it and then say she don't want to talk about it, which is really manipulative. And Dorit just kept taking the bait. So, yeah, it ends like that. Amanda leaves with her fragility, and all the women are just left at the standstill of what the F, because that ruined Rachel Zoe's dinner. And that was how the episode ended. Preview for next episode, we see that Rachel and Erica talk about it, and yeah, I love Rachel Zoe on this show. She's honestly the most level-headed one on this show. And by the way, before all this popped off, that food looked amazing. I was my mouth was watering. But yeah, that does conclude the episode. I did not watch the after show because I'm still not 100% interested in the show the way I want to be. But I do, like I mentioned earlier on before this review, this episode was actually enjoyable. I did enjoy watching it. So hopefully this is a sign that that maybe the season's a slow burn. Maybe it's starting off lukewarm and then it's going like this. Maybe we're the frog in the pot. Maybe. I'm hoping that's what it is. Because otherwise, oh Lord. I still think they do need cast shakeup though. Because this needs to be Sutton's last season. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry at all. But anyway, that does conclude the episode, like I mentioned. Please like, comment, subscribe to the channel if you get anything out of the content. It's your girl, Sharon, aka the Melanin Nostalgic Runner. And stay warm and stay safe. And because also, too, I think there's supposed to be a winter storm this whole weekend throughout the whole entire country. So let me just say it also. Make sure you have your water slightly running. Have your cabinets open, your, sink cabinets open. No, you don't want the pipes bursting. And make sure your heating is working. And if you do have some alternative heating, use some of them sparingly. Don't overuse it. Be safe. Anyway, I will see you next time. Bye.